Good evening. David Nieto, Vice President of Weslaco ISD School Board of Trustees. This public hearing is being conducted in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice of this hearing has been posted online for at least 72 hours. A recording of this hearing is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. The time is now 5:34, and I will call this hearing to order. And now we'll begin the roll call. Present today is Dr. Jaime Rodriguez.
Present.
Coach Armando Cuellar.
Present.
Mr. Jesse Trevino.
Present.
And myself, Mr. Nieto. We don't need a quorum for a public hearing, but we have a quorum. Number 3, Dr. Rivera, presentation of the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas for the 21-22 school year.
Yes. Mr. David, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. And so as we do a public hearing, let me bring up the presentation. You do have a hard copy at your chairs, but for the public, we actually do have copies in the back. And so I have the privilege of just sharing how well the district did back in the year 22. So when we start looking at all the indicators, which there are 20 indicators, even though we're technically going over the 23 audit, it's actually looking at the 22 fiscal year. So it's not last year, the one we just got board approved back in November. It's actually the year before. So again, everything that we do with the district is always with a focus of going back to what is the mission and vision of the district. And so when we spend the monies for the district, that is always going to be the primary goal. And so what we have here today is just to give a quick little introduction about the first. What are those 20 indicators? We also will share the superintendent's contract and a few disclosure statements. And so Appendix B will be those reimbursable expenditures for our school boards and for our superintendent. If there was any business transactions between the board members and the school district, we would disclose any superintendent's outside income and any gifts that were given to the board members or to our superintendent. So if you've been in school business, you will find out for the past 24 years, we've been talking about FIRST. And so FIRST, again, it's the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. So every school district is rated, just like how the classes with their campuses are being evaluated and graded each year. The same thing happens on the business side for the school district. And so I do have some great news of how well Weslaco has been doing, that we received the highest rating that could be given, which is a rating A for superior achievement. So again, that is the gold standard, and we actually received a perfect score of 100. Now, there's other scores that are out there or other ratings. We never want to be a B, which is above standard achievement, or C, which means meeting the standard achievement, and we never want to get an F, which is substandard achievement. But again, the school district earned 100, a perfect score.
Nice.
We could always see those indicators on the TEA website. And again, we do have that link there. But we also put it on our website. And so again, if anyone wants to look up, because all of this is actually public knowledge, our number to look up what is Weslaco ISD is 108-913. And so those numbers should sound familiar if you work for the school. Now we get to go through the 20 indicators. Now, some of the indicators are not rated, and so I'll mention those. The idea is that for every indicator, you'll get a current year and also the previous year. Well, I went ahead and just, because it's knowledge that we have, we actually show 3 years worth of each indicator of what the school district has earned. So the very first indicator, does the school district submit to TEA the audit book by the due date? Since we did change our time from an August 31st year end to a June 30th, we have until November 27th of every year to submit our audit book. And for the past 3 years, we've been submitting on time. Number 2, the actual opinion by our external auditors, is it an unmodified opinion? An unmodified opinion is another way of thinking of it as a clean audit. And again, for the past 3 years, it has been that. Was the school year in compliance with payment terms for all of our debt? In other words, are we paying our bonds on time? And the great thing, the district has been meeting all of its debt payments based on the agreements that we have in place. Number 4, are we paying timely TRS, which is our retirement fund, Texas Workforce Commission, the IRS, or any other government agency? And we are paying on time. Luckily, number 5 is not an indicator that we will be going over because it's not scored. But it's still there just for reference. Number 6, has the fund balance, or another way I like to think of it, has our savings dropped 25% within a year? And actually, our fund balance has increased. So we passed that indicator. We were increasing our fund balance almost 14%. Number 7, what is the number of days of cash on hand? And another way of thinking of it, if we were to not receive a payment from the state, how long would we be able to live on our cash holdings? And again, I showed 3 years worth, and every year the district has been increasing their cash holdings. So we have enough cash in the bank, another way of thinking of it, for 191 days. Now, the goal to get even just a 10 points is 90. So we are way above that threshold. Number 8, was the measure of current assets to current liabilities sufficient to cover our short-term debt? So again, cash divided by the short-term liabilities, which is really the payroll and any vendors that we owe. Do we have enough cash in the bank? And the goal is to have 3 times of dollars to that kind of debt. And we are above that. So for the 22 school year, 3.42. So we do have sufficient cash for those type of debts. Number 9, did the school district general fund exceed expenditures? So another way of thinking of it, did the district, and I'm putting quotes, make money? That we had enough revenue to cover all the expenses. And for all the past 3 years, we have. Number 10 is one of those lucky indicators that we are not going to be evaluated. Number 11. So earlier I had talked about short-term debt. Now we switch over to long-term debt. Is the ratio of long-term debt to total assets sufficient for long-term solvency? And so another way of thinking of it is for us to get at least those 10 points that we want for this indicator, is it a 0.60 or less? And that ratio is hovering around 30% for the past 3 years. So we are way below that indicator. Number 12, what is the correlation of future debt requirements and the district assessed property value? So We are going to be just showing 1 year's worth on that particular indicator because it is a brand new one. And so the idea is to have a ratio of at least 4, but not greater than that. Because as soon as you grow further, you get less points. So again, our ratio is 1.13, so we do qualify for the most points, which is 10. Was the school district's administrative cost ratio less than the threshold? So TEA likes to see how much do we spend on administration cost. So for a district our size, the hope is that we spend less than 8.55% of our budget on administrative cost. And if you can see for the past 3 years, we've been at the 6% threshold, which is way below the 8.55. So we've been receiving the full points allowed. Number 14 and 15 are not scored this year. Number 16 is the PEIMS information that we submit to TEA versus our audit book, is it within 3% or less? And so for us, it is a little weird that year when they compared the 22 school year because the district changed its fiscal year from an August to a June. But when TA had to relook at that number, they realized that we did change that our fiscal year in, and we still passed that indicator. Number 17, 3 more to go. Did the external auditors find any material weaknesses in our audit? They haven't. And so for the past 3 years, we've been getting the full points for that particular indicator. Did the external auditors indicate in our audit book if we had any material non-compliance of grants, contracts, or any kind of laws that deal with those special revenue funds? So for the past 2 years, we haven't. Now, back in 2020, there was some findings. And so in that year, we didn't get the 10 points that was allowed. But for the past 2 years, we've been receiving the most. Number 19, are we following and complying all the legal requirements to be financial transparent? So if you ever go to our website, we have what we call the financial transparency webpage, where we have our audit books, our bonds information, we have our budget. And so it has been on our website, and so we received the most points, which is 5 points for that indicator. The last one. So did the school district administration, which is myself, the CFO, share with the board members information about property values? So since property values have a major impact on the tax rate, did it happen within 120 days before we adopted a budget? And for the 22 school year, we did. And so we did get that indicator passed. So from day one of when the superintendent became our superintendent, we did place on our district website a copy of his contract. If you ever want to see it, it is on our webpage, and actually we have the link for that there. Another item that we have to disclose is that whenever a school board member goes on a trip or does any business on behalf of the district, and also our superintendent, we do have an annual report just to say how much was spent, whether it was on meals, lodging, transportation, or any other cost. Again, you have your totals there by board member and the superintendent. Another disclosure that we do is there any business between a school board member and the school district? And so we do have 2 disclosures. Again, I'm just going to share those, even though they're on our paper. For Ms. Sustaita, our board president, She is the sister-in-law of the owner of Weslaco Music Center. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez, our board secretary, he is the owner of Weslaco Vision Source. So they disclosed that. If there was business between the two, again, we do share that information for the public. We do have 2 members that didn't submit a disclosure. Whenever we do get that information, we will update that for the website. The other 3 board members had 0. Again, they disclosed that. For our superintendent, again, we do ask if there was any outside income for him other than the school district. And so our superintendent just works for Weslaco ISD. The next item is there any gifts that the board members or the superintendent receives that cumulatively for a year equal $250 or more? Now, the superintendent and 4 of the board members did report $0. The other 2, as soon as we get their reports, we will then share that information. So if you were to go to that link that I had shared earlier, you would have seen how the district was rated. Again, we already talked about the 20 indicators, but this is how it's shown on their website. Again, we did get a perfect score. The idea is to at least pass with a 70. We got the full 100. We are a rating A, which is a superior achievement. And so this information was first published back in August. Now, it goes through a period of review. If there was some numbers that were inaccurate, we do have a chance to share that with TEA. And so Region 1 does get this information. They also help those districts that need help explaining any of those items. Again, this is just for your information. Of all the different indicators that we did receive the 10 or 5 points that are allotted for each one. And so for the grand total of 100 points. And so because of that, again, we are a district with superior achievement. And so because it is information that is known publicly, we did get an invitation from Region 1, so you could tell that I was there. We did get a plaque from Region 1 saying that congratulations that Weslaco got an A for their first report. And so again, you have those distinguished people from Region 1. And so we did put this in the newspaper to say that today was the day that we were going to have this public hearing to share the information of how well the financials were done back in 22. So this is kind of like 2 years ago. And that is the report.
Thank you. Any questions? I'll start on the right side. Mr. Trevino?
None.
None? Mr. Castillo?
Just congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Coach Cuellar?
Again, congratulations in order for an outstanding job. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect.
Dr. Jaime?
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, this is a work of the business office, and really it's everyone's help from all the different departments and campuses that do their job great, which makes our life so much easier there in the business office.
Thank you for the presentation, and Dr. Rivera, congratulations to yourself, of course, leading the team, leading the business office, doing an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Public comments or presentation of the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas for the 21-22 school year. Anybody that would like to comment? Anybody in the public? All right. Thank you. Adjournment? Nobody wants to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. All right, we're ready for the board meeting? All right, let's get started. Thank you again, Mr. Robledo. Good evening. I'm Isidoro Nieto, Vice President of the Weslaco ISD Board of Trustees. This regular board meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. It is now 5:54 and I will call this meeting to order. I will call the roll call. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez,
Present.
Coach Armando Cuellar,
Present?
Mr. Ben Castillo, Mr. Jesse Trevino,
Present.
and myself, Mr. Nieto. Invocation, Dr. Rivera.
Yes, let me call on Elias Trevino.
Would you be so kind and bow your heads, everyone, and let us pray? Heavenly Father, our Lord Jesus Christ, how great and mighty you are. There is no one like you. Thank you for the gift of life, health, family, friends, strength, and the ability to work to provide for our families. Thank you for your faithfulness and protection over the lives of our students, staff, and families. We thank you for the joyous spirit that Christmas brings to the hearts of those around us. We rejoice in your humble birth in a lowly manger to bring light and salvation to us all. The greatest gift that Christmas brings is your love towards each of us. Thank you for your joy, peace, and love. Father, we ask you to continue to bless and grant greater wisdom to our superintendent, Dr. Richard Rivera, and our board. Bless them and their families beyond measure for their service and sacrifice for our community. Thank you for the heart you have placed in them to serve. Father, may your will be done in our board meetings. May we always maintain integrity in what you have left in our care. Bless our administrators and teachers with wisdom, integrity, patience, and the physical and mental strength as this year progresses. Above all, bless our students with divine protection, physical and mental health, and providence. May their homes and our classrooms be filled with love and support, not only in Christmas, but every day of the year. There is gratitude in our hearts for all that you have done, are doing, and will do in the days to come. May our hearts reflect the spirit of light in darkness, joy in the midst of the storms, peace in our conflicts, and love in our fears. We ask you all this in your precious and mighty name of Jesus, and everyone says amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Pledge of Allegiance and Texas pledge.
Mr. Butterworth?
Good evening. At this time, we'd ask everyone to please stand, place their right hand over their heart for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we'd ask everyone to please remain standing, right hand over their heart for the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee. Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Butterworth. Awards and recognitions, Dr. Rivera.
Yes, let me call on Mr. Robledo.
Yes. Mr. Board Vice President, Mr. Nieto, Dr. Rivera, members of the board, we'd like to start off our awards and recognition. We do have an individual we want to recognize from the JROTC from Weslaco High School. If she can step forward. Step forward, Ms. Cleo. All right, we're going to have you stop right there. You want to come in just a little bit because we're missing a couple of board members. And we're going to ask you to step right there. We're going to say a few words about you and shake everybody's hand after we read this, okay? All right, well, tonight we want to congratulate a senior from Weslaco High School who was selected as the 5th Brigade JROTC Cadet of the Month. Cleo Castro is the first and only Weslaco High School JROTC cadet to receive this recognition from the 5th Brigade Cadet Command, which consists of 350 high school JROTC programs from 6 states, including Texas, Wyoming, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, and Utah. Cleo was selected based on her exemplary leadership skills, academic achievements, and extracurricular accomplishments. How about a big hand for Cleo Castro? We also want to recognize the senior Army instructor from Weslaco High School, Colonel Eloy Cuevas. Colonel Cuevas. Cleo, are your parents here tonight? Parents? Parents, can Cleo's parents please stand and be recognized? Thank you very much. Also tonight, we want to congratulate several high school athletes who were recently named on the academic all-state teams. How about if we bring them in a little bit and we'll recognize them right here and stay right there. As I say your name, we'll let you enter the room. How does that sound, okay? These academic all-state lists recognize high school athletes for their academic excellence in GPA, class rank, and SAT, ACT scores. We honor these students who perform at the highest academic excellence on and off the field. We'll start off from Weslaco East High School in girls cross country, receiving all-state academic honors. We have Kiana Saldana Flores, honorable mention. We'd also like to recognize Bailey Peña, honorable mention. Also in girls cross country, we have Marely Cuellar, second team, all-state. And we'd also like to recognize their head coach, Mr. Josh Davis, Coach Davis. Up next, we have boys cross country receiving all-state academic honors. We have Eric Davis, second team. Let's recognize his coach, Coach Tom Owens. In volleyball, receiving all-state academic honors, we have Valeria Juarez, honorable mention. We have Micaela Perales, second team, all-state. And we have Mia J. Ferrer, second team, all-state academic. We'd also like to recognize the volleyball head coach, Zanya Gorena. Ms. Gorena. Now we'd like to recognize from Weslaco High School in cross country, receiving all-state academic first team honors, David Castro. The head coach for cross country is Juan Davila. Coach Davila. All right. We'd also like to recognize their parents. So if the parents are here, can they please stand and be recognized? Parents? All right, thank you very much and congratulations. All right, up next, would y'all like to start lining up here up front? Tonight, we want to congratulate the Weslaco East High School Wildcat varsity football team for their outstanding season. The Wildcats are 16 5A Division I by-district finalists, making a trip to the playoffs 16 out of the last 17 years, including 3 playoff appearances, 2 district championships, and 1 by-district championship in the past 4 years. How about a big hand for the Weslaco East Wildcats football team? And we're going to recognize the individuals who are present here tonight. We have Noah Rosales. JT Rodriguez. Luis Garcia. Anthony Briones. We also have several members of the football team who earned 16 5A All-District honors. In second team, 16 5A All-District honors at tackle, Judah Gonzalez. First team All-District honors goes to Margarito Pompa at inside linebacker. Earning all-district first-team honors unanimously, we have Gabriel Orta. We'd also like to recognize the coaching staff. Here tonight, we have Coach Mike Burgett. Offensive coordinator, Coach Mike Brown. Adrian Gomez. First team coordinator, Coach Perryman. Rolando Ramos. Coach Dan Cortez. Coach Rolando Casas. Coach Ricardo Medina. Coach Roger Adame Jr. All right, we'd also like to recognize parents of the Weslaco ISD Wildcats. If you're here, can you please stand and be recognized, parents? Thank you very much, and congratulations on a great season. All right. Up next, we want to congratulate the Weslaco High School Panther varsity football team for their outstanding season. The Weslaco Panthers were undefeated in the regular season with a 10-0 record, clinching the 32-6A championship title, a by-district championship, and area finalist. How about a big hand for the Weslaco Panthers? We will recognize the individuals who are here tonight. We'll start off with Landon Solis. Diego Reyes. Justin Elizondo. Devin Solis. William Cannon. Ethan Gutierrez. Nicolas Ramirez. Brandon Valdez. Joaquin Arce. Martin Maldonado. Josh Rios. Damien Castillo. Rick Castro. We also want to recognize individuals who earned postseason distinctions, earning 32-6A honorable mentions. We have Mateo Gomez, linebacker. At defensive end, Fabian Martinez. Defensive tackle, RJ Guzman. Second team, 32-6A All-District Honors goes to guard Julian Longoria. Tight end, Aiden Morales. Defensive end, Marcus Valdez. Defensive tackle, Miguel Rodriguez. Center, Abraham Garces. Miguel and Abraham were also named All-State Academic List for their exemplary academic performance. Miguel received honorable mention, and Abraham received second-team All-State Academic Honors. All right, moving on, we have first team 32-6A All-District Honors awarded to, let's see what we have here, Devin Martinez, defensive tackle. Devin. Ethan Cardenas, slot receiver. Devin Silva, safety.
Congratulations.
We have Christian Sanchez, inside linebacker. Defensive tackle, Darren Hanks. Inside linebacker, Joshua Rivera. Darren and Joshua were also named All-State Academic on the All-State Academic list. Noah received honorable mention, and Darren was first team All-State Academic. We have some more accolades to talk about here. The Defensive Player of the Year from the Weslaco Panthers, and for 32-6A, Matthew Garza. (32-6A) Offensive Player of the Year, Diego Zavala. The 32-6A Co-Offensive Player of the Year, Andres Sepulveda. Andres also received second team All-State Academic honors. And we also want to recognize the District 32-6A Co-MVP, Eli Rodriguez. We also want to recognize the coaching staff. We'll start off with the 32-6A Coach of the Year, Coach Roy Stroman. First Assistant Coach, Domingo Vento. Offensive Coordinator, Joe Peña. Assistant Coaches, Frank Martinez. Rick Caballero, Billy Cardenas, and Peter Solis. We also want to recognize, he's not here. We also want to recognize the parents. Parents, can you please stand and be recognized? All right, we'll take a photo real quick.
Right there. There you go.
And most hands. Thank you.
Coach Stroman, will you come up here? We can sit down.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Congratulations on your accolades. Thank you so much for the support.
Go through the gauntlet.
Thank you so much. Can I get the next man? Coaches? Coaches?
Yeah. Get the coaches up there.
Can the seniors please stay one more year?
Smile. Shout Panthers. Way to go.
Boys, before you leave, hold on. Turn around this way so you can hear a little bit. I was fortunate to coach the 1991 team, and of course, Dr. Jaime was part of that team. And so you had an outstanding season this season, undefeated, just like that team. We were fortunate to be there. And Coach Stroman, congratulations to you and your coaches for doing an outstanding job this year. And like you say, you're going to reload for next year, correct, Coach Stroman?
That's right.
Any comments, Coach Stroman?
No, thank you so much for the support all season, especially from the dedicated parents, administration, on behalf of our athletic department, our athletic director, our principal. We have a great principal and great athletic director. Big round of applause.
Good job, boys.
Most importantly, These kids are not only great athletes, but they're also super, super smart for academics, and we've always known that academics comes first. So thank you so much to the parents, the sacrifice of waking up early in the morning for 6 a.m. Practice, and hopefully that football will teach these young men the responsibility, what you have learned, all the qualities through football that you seniors will take over and carry over to college. So go out there and make us proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
You can stand. The game face, you can put it over there. Put a game face. Put a game face.
Good job, coaches. Good job, Coach Peña.
Yeah, we're done. Come on. They were good friends. Joe raised my I appreciate it. Coach, congratulations. Thank you so much.
That concludes our awards and recognitions.
Thank you, Carlos. We will continue as soon as they exit. Oh, America. I should have been in America was class of 31 too. Hey, but he has to sit over here. That's right, because America was also part of the team. But he was a junior. He missed it by 1 year. No. Oh, gotta wait for Dr. Rivera on the next one. I don't know. We're supposed to have. I'm not sure. I think two. Yeah. We're gonna have one. Yeah. But we got a. What's going on? Proclamation right now. So.
What's up, Eloy? How are you?
If he does, we're going to disqualify. He's going to disqualify.
Who's going to tell us? Looks like he's got one of the public
Who else?
comments.
Who else?
I just know.
Okay. Before I read it. Okay.
No, that would be too easy. That would be too easy.
How's everything going? Good. Trying to close out the year. Yeah. And the family? All good? Growing. Growing. That's what he put in the bucket. Why? And yes, they still have additional. That's probably what happened. Yeah. Because in 24 it was supposed to be they didn't have a pressure fix. So. Oh yeah. And that he's requesting plus 3% for everybody else. So. We're just waiting for Dr. Rivera as soon as he gets back. Nope, there he comes. All right. Ready, Dr. Rivera? Proclamation, School Board Recognition Month, January 2024. Dr. Rivera?
Yes. I'd like to read this proclamation on behalf of Dr. Rivera. This is for School Board Recognition Month, which will be celebrated in January. So this is for our board members. Weslaco Independent School District has a long-standing tradition of excellence and strives to bring together all resources to provide our students and staff with the best opportunities for success. To that end, Weslaco ISD acknowledges and celebrates initiatives, departments, and organizations to join in our efforts to develop, expand, and enrich our learning environments for students, parents, and employees. Therefore, Superintendent Dr. Richard Rivera does hereby proclaim January 2024 as School Board Recognition Month. How about a big hand for our board members? And that concludes our proclamations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rivera and Carlos. Number 7, public comments. Mr.
There are two.
The first one is Israel Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, before I begin, I have to read something, but our attorney would like to say something.
Mr. Gonzalez, understanding there's come to my attention you have a couple of grievances pending with the Weslaco Independent School District. Could you refrain from making any comments on your grievances because it could prejudice the board and they won't hear your grievance?
Of course, I won't speak any details or
Okay,
any
that's
comments
fine.
regarding them.
Thank you.
I may reference that there's grievances, but I will not
Okay.
speak on them.
Please not. Just refrain from doing that, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez, will you identify yourself and your address, please?
My name is Israel Gonzalez. My address is 1609 Sunset Lane. That's in Palmhurst, Texas, 78573.
I have to read this to you before you have your 5 minutes. Pursuant to the Texas Open Meeting Act, the Board of Trustees may not deliberate on any comment made by a member of the public on a subject that is not included in the agenda posted with notice of this meeting. As per the Texas Attorney General, the scope of board discussion for a subject not part of the meeting agenda is limited to only a proposal by a board member to place the subject on a future board agenda. Specific factual information of existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries, but the board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting. Audience participation at a board meeting is limited to the portion of the meeting designated for that purpose. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being discussed by the board unless recognized by the presiding officer. No public comment presentation shall exceed 5 minutes. Any disruptive behavior by any speaker may result in the speaker's removal from participation in the meeting. Please be mindful of using names or personally identifying information, as there is no immunity from defamatory comments while participating in public comments. You have 5 minutes. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez will let you know when you have 1 minute left. You may begin.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to stand here before you today. The title of my address, I teach my students. I am a teacher at your district, at Weslaco ISD. I've had the pleasure of being a teacher here for, I believe this is my 8th year in the district. Time flies. And I've had a lot of wonderful experiences. Of course, comes with ups and downs. So before I begin, or as I begin, I'd like to inform you of the title of my speech. It's actually, I teach this to my students, title everything that you create. It doesn't matter what it is. Always give it a title. Mine is the State of the Campus Address. As we're wrapping up the year, I feel that I should give the board a little bit of information as to what is occurring in your schools. First and foremost, I want to ask the district to, at some point in the future, take a stance against anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic behavior in all its forms. With current events around the world as they are, it's very important that we do that. I did say that my speech here, my comments, I titled it State of the Campus, and to some extent, the district. It's an address. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't say this lightly, but we are in disarray. And I say this because we'll start with the most important, safety. There's a lot of rules and procedures that are not being followed, and sometimes they fall on deaf ears. I follow the chain of command, and sometimes it's not happening. So I'll forward you to an incident. We'll just call it an incident that occurred at the campus, and there should have been a procedure through the SRP. All right, we should have followed standard response protocol. We did not. So there's a lot of whispers going around, a lot of talk going around, but the fact of the matter remains, we should have done something, procedures that are established. With that, I just want to raise awareness of the absence of the rule of law. At the very least, in my campus, there's absence to some extent of rule of law. Procedures from federal, state, and local regulations are not being adhered to. Sometimes I will try to address the individuals, of course, my supervisors, and it's a little bit difficult. The supervisor, the main supervisor, I speak with him, and of course, I can't redirect him. So at some point, I bring up a concern, and I end up being the person redirected. So I'm not asking for anything special. I'm not asking special treatment. I'm just asking that everybody be held to the same standards. We're all professionals. I think that we should all be held to the same professional standards. And again, there's established policies and procedures that everything's fine if we just follow them as they are in place. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and ask for the parents, the community to be involved. I think one of the best things that needs to happen is we need to have a little bit more outreach to the community. One of the things I suggested today at my campus is we need to have positive behavior intervention. There's a lot of focus on the negativity. There's a lot of things that we could do. And of course, we're not going to fix that here. But I did want to bring your attention to the fact that I don't say that lightly, and it's a big word, but we're in disarray. And when ideas are brought up, they're usually, again, I've been redirected. I've been basically told, hey, great idea, but shh. And I'm just asking, no special treatment. I'm just asking, let's all follow state, federal, and local laws and regulations. What I will do, I won't speak on it, but I'll leave this here with the board. I would love to forward this to your emails. I believe that they're listed online. I'll check. And I will be sure to forward this to you. You do need to be made aware of this.
1 minute, Mr. Gonzalez.
I'm sorry?
1 minute.
1 minute.
And that's about it. I just wanted to make y'all aware of the happenings. We need to, I want to invite the public, of course, to keep us in check, keep us honest. And this is the parents, right? I want to invite the public. Recently we just passed tax funds and all whatnot. I'm just asking the public, keep us honest, get involved, parents, get involved, ask questions from your teachers, from your principals. That's the best way that we can ensure that all these rules are being followed. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you, gentlemen. I'm just going to drop this off with you, and I'll see myself out.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just skip one, and then I'll look at it before it's published to the board, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Just keep them back.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we have another public comments. Mrs. Diana Garza. Mrs. Garza, please identify yourself and your current address.
Diana Garza, 1011 East 10th Street, Mercedes.
Thank you. Let me read this to you, and then you have your 5 minutes. Pursuant to the Texas Open Meeting Act, the Board of Trustees may not deliberate on any comment made by a member of the public on a subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of this meeting. As per the Texas Attorney General, the scope of board discussion for a subject not a part of the meeting agenda is limited to only a proposal by a board member to place a subject on a future board agenda. Specific factual information of existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries, but the board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting. Audience participation at a board meeting is limited to the portion of the meeting designated for that purpose. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board unless recognized by the presiding officer. No public comment presentation shall exceed 5 minutes. Any disruptive behavior by any speaker may result in the speaker's removal from participation in this meeting. Please be mindful of using names or personally information, as there is no immunity from defamatory comments while participating in public comments. Dr. Jaime, you ready? You have 5 minutes, and Dr. Jaime will let you know when you have 1 minute left. You may begin, Mrs. Garza.
Good evening, Dr. Rivera, board members, parents, students, and staff. First and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each one of you for making the best decision ever by bringing Dr. Rivera back to this district. You have entrusted the most capable, intelligent man for the job. When he left over 10 years ago, our district was second to none, as he was the captain of this ship, Weslaco ISD. Dr. Rivera, I would like to thank you publicly for all that you do for all the boys and girls of this district. We have the utmost confidence that you, once again, will rebuild this district that was left in shambles by all previous superintendents. I lost count of how many. However, what brings me here tonight is to once again thank God for placing me in this current position for the second year in a row as the student attendance intervention counselor for Weslaco ISD. As a result of this position, I have come across two very sad situations that have surfaced recently involving two beautiful students. These two students suffered traumatic experiences early last spring semester. The first student had 22 absences when I got the referral for assistance about 2 weeks ago. And I quickly made a home visit to inquire what was happening and if there was anything the school district could assist with. Parent went on to discuss what all her children had witnessed as she lost her husband and they lost their father in a very traumatic way almost a year ago. I quickly asked her if her children were receiving counseling services, and parents stated that children are still suffering emotionally, but have yet to receive any counseling services this school year. Student number 2, I make a home visit due to excessive tardies, and I find that this student also suffered a very traumatic experience last spring semester, was also provided with brief LPC counseling services. This year, not one person has followed up and providing any services for this child. Upon my visit, I discovered very sad living conditions as this structure is lacking flooring, walls are bare without insulation, broken windows covered with plastic, and a piece of plywood leaning on the windows to protect family from elements. The electrical wiring is so poor that she cannot plug in an electric skillet because it causes circuit shorts. For the sake of time, I will make a very long story short. Since it is Christmas, I asked single mom sizes for clothing and shoes, as she has an elementary student and a senior in our school district. Very humbly, she gave me information. I proceeded to ask her what she would like for Christmas, herself. Her answer broke my heart in a million pieces. I would like a bigger bed so that all three of us fit and we can keep each other warm when it is cold. And it doesn't have to be new. I asked her, what is the biggest size that fits? And she stated, a king-size bed fits. My husband took it. I immediately contacted one of my first Weslaco Diamond sponsors back in the day, Mr. Julian Garza from State Farm Insurance. I told him there was a need, and I was looking for donations for a bed. He quickly said yes, and left a $600 check at his local office without any hesitation whatsoever, as always. At this time, I want to publicly thank you, Mr. Garza, wherever you're at, for always picking up the phone when I call you. As you know, it's always for children in need, and you never hesitate and are always ready to assist. You truly are appreciated. I want to thank other individuals, you know who you are, that I reached out to and were quick to contribute in the form of area rugs, Christmas trees, etc. Last but not least, a huge thank you to Jesse Trevino's son, Alan, for graciously picking up the bed at the furniture store, delivering and setting it up. In closing, our Weslaco ISD children deserve much better service. If and when their social and emotional needs are met, then everything falls into place as far as the academics. Students receiving services the latter part of a school year should be the first thing, priority one, when school starts in August, and counselors should be touching base with these students. Dr. Rivera, thank you for always addressing issues. It is impossible for you to see everything and to be everywhere, but I hope that you continue to hold staff accountable, that they do their job, and our students receive the best that they deserve, the counseling services. Merry Christmas to all, and God bless Weslaco ISD.
Thank you, Mrs. Garza.
Please add me to your call list.
Pardon me?
Please add me to your call list when you
Yes,
have issues like
yes,
that.
thank you.
All right, we'll continue. Dr. Rivera, Superintendent's report.
Yes. You have a copy?
Yes,
Let
sir.
me start with the, on page 1, on the snapshot enrollment. You can see that compared to last year, we're at a plus 630. And you can see the plus and the minuses for every campus. So we are studying the enrollment. Again, it's a good problem to have when you have more students. But now the issue is trying to balance the students into all our schools. And again, it's a plus 630, so that's very good information. On the following page, I know we discussed schools of choice, open enrollment. So the policy we have in place right now is FDA local, and this is student transfers to Weslaco ISD from outside that can transfer into our schools one school year at a time. Also on B, FBD local, we have transfers from the district or from one school to another. Now, in past years, before I got here, there were 4 quadrants. So if someone came in from the outside, they were placed into these quadrants. So what I'm going to do is this will no longer be utilized. Instead, on D, any transfers coming from other schools, other school districts, we're going to place them where there's room in some of the campuses. So if there's no room on that campus, they'll have to go elsewhere. We're going to grandfather those students already enrolled, but also very important is that Weslaco is growing. And we've seen about 60 active planned residential developments. So all our campuses have projected residential growth. Staff and I were studying if the enrollment counts in our schools, for example, Memorial is an example, is it due to high enrollment counts or due to student transfers or residential growth? So we're studying all of this before I go back to the board on the possibility of rezoning, which is being closely studied, factoring in the transfers and the growth. On the next page, very good news to report on the budget. The 23 budget is balanced, as I mentioned last month. We had a previous deficit of 60 million that's been reduced. So now we started to work on the 24 budget, the budget for next year. And we're going to increase the ADA from 14,000 to 14,500. That'll generate an additional 4.2 million. So right now, we're probably the first district in Region 1 in the state that we're already looking to increase the pay for next year at 2,000 across the board and 3% for all other staff. This can change depending on different factors, but we're already planning on the pay raise for next year. In addition, the $2,000, the bonuses that were given this year through ESSER, we want to do that through local funds and not ESSER funds. So it looks good for next year so far with the planning that we have for next year's budget. We're also looking at grants, and in the grants, we can monitor those, and they can take into consideration some of the local monies. We're monitoring the interest, and right now it looks good. We're looking at to reduce the 24 budget. Since we passed the bond election, some of the items there now will no longer be needed because of the bond election. And we're not counting on D. We're not relying right now on the state because we've got nothing for one whole year. So we're also looking at to continue with the optional flexible school day program. Now, since we passed the bond election, as I mentioned to you before, I want to get your advisory committee, the one that you asked me to invite. We're going to invite them to go ahead and start looking as we do the projects. The following page gives you information on the Weaver Tidwell report. There were two, this report focused on two things, HR and the business. I can tell you that we work on this daily to make sure that the recommendations there have been noted, and any deficiency that's there, we're going to continue to address. So very important, and we're going to follow this until we get everything in order in HR and the business department. Page 5, school safety and intruder detection audit finding. I want to assure the board this is one of my priorities, school safety. I know it was mentioned earlier about whatever was said, but I can guarantee you that is a priority, and student safety is very, very important. All the principals are involved, the director is involved, we're all involved, and we deal with this daily. On A, in the fall of 22, TEA mandated HB3 to conduct door intruder audits. Since that time, I'm happy to report that we have been visited 23 times, and we have 21 perfect audits. That means the doors were locked, everything was in place. On C, we had 2 findings that have been corrected. Again, I want to stress student and staff safety. The vestibules will really help on this, and I can tell you, with the discipline, there are consequences for bad behavior. We have programs in all our schools for these consequences, and we will tolerate no bad behavior, and they will be disciplined and taken care of. And again, on House Bill 3, we did that already, the mandate armed security. Every school has armed guards, and the plan is to continue to have at least 2 now, armed guards at every campus. Again, security is a priority. It's just as important as curriculum and instruction. It's very important that our kids are safe and our staff is safe. Again, we've had threats like any other district. People call in for different things. We take them very seriously. We communicate with the parents through phone calls or social media. We have received almost $3 million in grants, and we're using the money again for school safety. So again, safety is very important to me, to our staff, and to the entire school district. On page 6, we are a district of innovation. The state approved this in 2015, House Bill 3, and since then, there are 975 districts of innovations. Right now, we are not one of them, but we are going to be one of them. So right now in C, we're in the process of becoming a district of innovation that began when the board approved the item in October. Now, the District of Innovation has many plans that include curriculum, just different things, such as the budget and accountability. But for right now, we're going to stress, of all the ones that are available to us, we're going to address for next year the calendar. The calendar right now, as you can see on F, is not very balanced because we have, by law, the law states that we cannot start school until the 4th Monday in August. Districts that are in this innovation plan, they can start on the 3rd week. So the issue we have here, as you can see, the semesters are not balanced. This semester, for example, has 76 days for the first semester, and the second has 93 days. So we're going to tie this in to universities and have more instructional days before the December testing. And the plan is tonight is to approve this in your agenda. On page 7, and this is the last slide that I have on the Lone Star governance. The board and I met together with my staff, and there's some constraints that I agree on my vision and goals, and the board has given me 5 constraints as I work to be your superintendent to make sure that we have the best district around. Number 1 is the superintendent shall not allow Weslaco ISD schools to be unsafe, and again, a priority. We're not going to allow this. There's consequences for bad behavior, and this is a non-negotiable. Our schools are going to be safe schools. Constraint number 2, the superintendent shall not allow low-performing schools not to have equal access to resources. And again, I will assure you that all the schools will be equal. There's a school that needs more than another. We're going to take care of it. We have a balanced budget. We have a good budget, and we're going to take care of all the boys and girls in all our schools. No exceptions. Even if you don't, whatever you are in ranking, you want to make sure that you have the resources needed to be able to meet the needs of our boys and girls. Constraint number 3, I'm not going to allow any campus a low level of culture or climate. Can't have that. I will work with the principal, with the director, and make any changes as needed, including administrators, but I cannot have a campus that's low in culture, in the climate. We have a climate survey that we can measure this, so I will not allow that. I cannot allow a campus, the climate, for everyone to be unhappy at that campus. It has to be a team effort, the principal and staff working together with the parents and the students, so it has to be a culture, a strong culture. The constraint number 4 is a financial health. And again, as I mentioned, we had a deficit. We reduced it. Now we have a healthy fund balance, and we have the monies needed to address the needs of our school district. The last constraint, that superintendent shall not allow anyone from the outside to interfere or take priority. I can tell you, I'm the superintendent. I will not allow anyone to influence me to make a decision I don't want. So again, superintendent, I can assure you that I will not allow anyone from the outside, anyone at all, to influence me to make a call that's not good for boys and girls. This is my report. Mr. Aguilar will continue with the constraint progress measures unless you have questions on my report.
Questions, Mr. Trevino, first of all? Any questions on the report?
No, not at this point.
Any comments?
Thank you.
Mr. Castillo?
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. Hey, Doc, on your slide on page 2, I just want to thank you and your administration for studying that and looking into it. I know it's been brought up at previous board meetings, but also just kind of to acknowledge that this is a good problem to have. A lot of other districts around the state are looking at rezoning and zoning issues, but due to lack of enrollment, not growth. So that's just a testament to you and your administration. So I wanted to congratulate you on that. And yeah, any way we could help our principals kind of ease the overcrowding of schools, that would be great. And then as far as on F, where we have 60 active planned residential developments, anywhere where we could partner with the city to kind of assist in that growth and also enroll those kids, I think we should take advantage of that.
We can do that, yes.
Thank you, sir.
We can meet with the city.
And then, again, another congratulations on already starting budget talks. And I'm glad that you're looking at continuing the staff retention stipends with local funds. Maybe after the year's over, we get really into the nitty-gritty, we could even look at all, because our teachers,
yes,
they go above and beyond.
Yes.
I could speak for one today, bought gifts for all of their kids in their classroom out of their own money. I mean, and I know there's multiple stories of that. So anything we could do to help teachers,
yes,
I think we should try to do that. And I know you do it, but know that you have my support at least. And I'm sure the whole board agrees with that.
Thank you.
And then, Doc, thank you for the update on the Weaver-Tidwell report. If possible, in January or February, it will be getting closer to the year when the board adopted the corrective action plan. And we could have a workshop on that to go over the specific kind of actions taken, and just so we could have a more kind of in-depth conversation on that.
Yes.
If that's okay with you and the
Yes.
board, just so we could do our role of oversight as well with respect to that Weaver report.
Will do.
Congratulations on your school and safety intruder finding. That's awesome. And thank you for taking care of those 2 items that you found as well. Not very many schools can say that they have 23 perfect audits when it comes to these, or 21, I'm sorry. Out in the District of Innovation, the only thing that I would ask, Doc, is that your administration consider all areas where we could use the District of Innovation. There's a whole bunch of things that we could do to be innovative, specifically in the areas of Kate, that would allow us to empower our kids with respect to certificates and stuff like that, and bringing teachers who may not be certified, but they have real life, real world experience. So I don't know, I would encourage that we look at all avenues with respect to this.
And we will.
And thank you for letting the community know on your superintendent constraints, and thanks for updating us as well. I've had a very good year, and I'm glad that you're our superintendent.
Thank you.
So,
Good points, Mr. Castillo. Coach Correa?
Just, you were very, very adamant about being transparent, and there's no question about your transparency. We appreciate that, and I think that sends a very powerful message out there about that people are gonna know what's going on, and there's not a better person to do that for the school district. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Correa. Dr. Jaime?
Great job, Dr. Rivera, with the report. Thank you for all that information, very useful information, and thank you for leading our district and to continue to lead our district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I echo what Mr. Castillo and the other three board members said. A lot of positive things happening in the district, and of course, with your leadership, we're going forward and continue to correct anything we need to correct.
Thank you, Mr. Nieto.
Also,
All right.
Thank you for listening to our feedback as well, because I've noticed in your updates, you're responding to some of the questions that we bring up in the previous thing. So thank you, Doc. I appreciate it.
All right, let's continue. Number 9, Lone Star Governance presentation. Dr. Rivera?
Mr. Aguilar?
Thank you, Dr. Rivera. Members of the board, good evening. And thank you, and thank you for acknowledging all this presentation. I do want to recognize Dr. Rivera came on in January, and significant progress has been done in less than a year. So that's a tremendous accomplishment, Dr. Rivera. Thank you on behalf of all our team. So going back on the, I want to go back to Dr. Rivera's comments on the superintendent constraints that were approved. And we wanted to recognize those critical factors that Dr. Rivera presented, because we do work on constrained progress measures. They are measures, but sometimes critical factors don't have a measurable goal. And that's what he covered there, because they're equally as important and they have a direct correlation with these progress moving forward. I do want to thank, again, Dr. Rivera's feedback. The leadership team provided a lot of guidance. Dr. Cinto Ramos, our LSG coach, he's on listening to our board meeting and the feedback that we received from our Board of Trustees. So thank you very much on the progress measures. Again, we're following the Texas framework, the vision and goals. And again, one of our goals that we have is the board has adopted no more than 3 constrained progress measures, and that's what I'm going to present right now. Constraint number 1, the superintendent shall not allow Weslaco ISD schools to be unsafe. That is a discussion that we have daily, and I'll reiterate that because that's something that is discussed every day, not only with our leadership team, with all our campus administrators, because that is a priority. Constraint progress number 1, discipline reports will reflect a decrease of 3% in fights from 2022 to 2023 to the 2023-24 school year district-wide. When Dr. Rivera came on board last year in January, he did notice that was a concern regarding student altercations. So immediately he had our secondary principals submit daily reports of any student fights. And again, that was taken very seriously with the monitoring. That was even done before we took on the Lone Star governance in our framework. So the intent was already there. However, this will keep a percentage. This will be our baseline. Since we didn't approve it last year with the progress measures, this will be our baseline. And if the board approves these progress measures, we will be continuing the same thing and gathering that data. The goal is to decrease those fights on campus on top of everything else that has been mentioned to improve, to make sure our schools are unsafe. Constraint number 2, the superintendent shall not allow low-performing campuses to have inequitable access to resources. And the focus here amongst the discussion was elementary class counts for low-performing campuses. We identified 7 elementary campuses specifically on Domain 1, which is student achievement. If they scored a C or less rating in Domain 1, we will have less than 20% of their classes submitted for waivers to TA. I know questions have come up regarding staffing. Sometimes if it's just one student past that 22, we have to submit that waiver. But we will be monitoring this very closely. And again, all funds are there, healthy fund balance, staffing, we will be moving in that direction. Again, those constraint 1, constraint 2, those will be baseline years. Constraint number 3, the superintendent shall not allow low levels of campus culture and climate levels. So constraint
Progress measure 3.1, the percentage of students who respond favorably on emotional regulation on the Student Panorama Survey will increase from 44% in winter of 2023 to 45% in winter of 2024. Now, the emotional regulation that was identified because that is our biggest concern that we do have. It's the highest need, controlling their self-emotions with the students. Now, the increase, it's been improving, but once it gets high, that's a difficulty to continue maintaining it. But that's going to be our goal, and that's going to be our target. Again, the reports will run in winter, and that's identified as winter due to the panoramic survey, and it will be late February. So from late February to the next late February, we'll be having those surveys. Constraint progress measure 3.2, the percentage of teachers and staff who respond favorably to school climate on the teachers and staff panorama surveys will increase from 54% in the winter 2023 to 57% in winter 2024. Again, that's going to be another progress measure that we're going to have the target and our goal moving forward. Constraint number 4, the superintendent shall not allow the financial health of the district to reach critical levels of stress. As Dr. Rivera went over the budget and the big improvement, we decided to focus on, and with your feedback, the superintendent and central administration will refine the annual budget to ensure that the general fund unassigned fund balance of $63,462,173 will increase from a balanced deficit budget in 2022 to 2023 to a 3% increase, which would give us an approximate $1.9 million surplus budget in the 2024 school year. Of course, you will more than likely see more, but on average, that's our average goal moving forward there. Constraint progress measure 4.2, the yearly first report, as Mr. Robledo presented earlier, report and rating will remain at the superior rating from fall 2023 to the fall of 2024. Again, we're going to continue improving and maintaining those ratings. Constraint number 5, the superintendent shall not allow adult community convenience, preference, or private interests to take priority over the academic progress of our students. We're following here the theory of action. As the board stated, their overall goal is a system of great schools. So in order to do that, we will follow the rubric, and we developed the Constraint Progress Measure 5.1. The superintendent, leadership team, and board members will implement the Lone Star Governance Framework to pursue a system of great schools, but moving from approaches, focus, to master's focus in the evaluation instrument. So that will be our target moving along in that rubric. Constraint Progress Measure 5.2, T-test calibration activities with campus leaders will increase from 6 opportunities in 22 to 23 to 10 in 23-24. Thus improving instruction in all classrooms. And the collaboration is going to be key with the leadership team and our campus administrators, because this is an all-around providing effective instruction. We know is a key foundation to improving student outcomes. So we're going to continue improving that calibration effort and collaboration to move forward. Again, we're following the Texas framework, progress and accountability. Number 2, the board evaluates but does not interfere with the progress toward improving student outcomes. These are our constrained progress measures. Are there any questions?
Comments, Mr. Castillo?
On constraint 2, just curious where the superintendent should not allow low-performing campuses to have inequitable access to revenues. What is our current rate of waiver requests for campuses that are C or lower?
So if we're looking at the 20%, Mr. Castillo, we're right now roughly at about 26%.
Okay, so it would be a reduction of about 6%?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Doc, you're okay, that was my only question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Trevino?
Doctor, I would like to see on constraint 1 about the fights. Was that the one on the fights?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I know we put decrease it by 3%.
Yes, sir.
I would like to see, or not I, but I guess, is that the right way to?
Yes, you got it.
see if there's any way we can improve that, because I hate to sit back and, I don't want to say on a daily basis, but I do hear a lot of references to a fight here, a fight here, a fight here. I mean, we have an excessive amount of fights, and whether we need to look at our student handbook and come up with stricter consequences or hold parents accountable, we need to figure something out, because we can't let it be a free-for-all and sit back and be reactive on the matter on this. And, somebody can get severely hurt in any fight. And I think when we sit back or I don't want to say we're sitting back, but we allow them to happen, and I think we're waiting for something to happen. And I don't want to be reactive. I want to be proactive, and I want us to see what else we can do. And obviously, I was at East for several years, so I know what goes on in the campus. I know what it all entails, and there's nothing like having a set of eyes, everybody monitoring and so forth. But I still think there's a lot of restroom fights. There's a lot of fights being recorded in restrooms and so forth, and those need to be addressed. So I don't know what
I agree.
What else we can do, what other measures we can do, but we definitely need to look at our student handbook. And I'm not talking about next year. I'm talking about like now, and if we need to revise it, let's revise it.
Okay, the principals are here, and they know how I feel about fights. And to be transparent, I'm gonna start making a report every week with the principal, telling me how many fights they had on campus. And if it's excessive, then we'll take corrective action. The principals are here. They heard you, they heard me, they hear the board. We don't want fights. We want safe schools.
And if we can have access to that report as well?
Yes.
Doctor, that would be great.
It'll be a weekly report to the board on the number of fights we had at every campus.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. And again, Dr. Rivera always, as superintendent, would say, administration has to be highly visible, staff has to be highly visible, and of course, you have to make time to talk to the students about the situations. That's very important. If the students don't know what the consequences are, then they're going to continue. So I'm pretty sure that the principals, alongside Dr. Rivera, will follow up on it. Coach Cuellar?
We need to resolve the issue before the fight takes place.
Yes, sir.
And that's where we work with the staff, with the counselors, the teachers, everyone involved.
Correct. Yes, sir. Okay. Coach Cuellar, comments?
No, just to follow up with that, I believe that's a very good approach to cut down, try to reduce things. And, in this day and time, it's very, very common knowledge that if something's going to happen, a lot of them have already used this to communicate, and it's very easy to pick up on what might happen. So that's something that we can use as a preventive measure also.
Dr. Hyman?
Yes.
I'm good. Thank you for the report.
Thank you for the feedback. And just to give you some side notes on that, I think when we first started, and of course this was prior to the LSG, recorded fights that we had roughly, when Dr. Rivera first started noticing that, was roughly around 121. And just alone what we've recorded this year cut in about half, roughly. So it's been a big improvement. But again, great feedback. We're going to continue working on that because we know that's an issue that we have to address, and we will continue working on that, as Dr. Rivera mentioned.
I'm going to give you guys an example. I know my son, he's up in school, and I don't know how, through YouTube. I don't know how all the gadgets that these students use, but some of his students or some of his up there in his school setting were actually watching our YouTube, wherever the fights are at, and we're actually making fun of just, is this the school you went to, Mario? This and this and that. This is what's really happening. This really happens at your school, and it gets out. This information gets out there right now with this social media stuff. So that's why we really need to, because that's not who we are, and we need to make sure we're not sending that message out there.
I agree.
I'd like to add that, and I made note of this when we met with the safety committee on an incident that took place on social media that was picked up very quickly, and within hours was addressed and put to rest. And my compliments to everyone involved for taking care of something that was very, very scary. And y'all did an outstanding job. And it was a complete team effort, everyone working together. And that's the same attitude that we can take for these things that are taking place on a daily basis. So, again, on a positive note, y'all did a heck of a job. Job well done.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking
Team effort. Team
I
effort.
just want to say
Everyone worked
also,
together.
fights have been around during my time from the 60s. But now it's a little bit different because now you have social media where they record the fights. But we've had fights since the 60s. Coach, when you were in, I think you were in a fight too, weren't you?
I know.
Just a clarification question, 121 per year, or?
No, that was, again, we were collecting data loosely based on monitoring reports. We really weren't basing that on a target or baseline, but those were reports that Dr. Yvette identified right away were concerns when he came in.
What was the timeline for the 121 fights?
Well, that was roughly when we started in January, started taking notice of it right away, and that was data that we were receiving. It was in the spring.
Okay. And then just one last question on the accountability calendar. I think that's what it's called. The calendar where we do board self-eval, superintendent eval.
Yes.
Oh, we
The
haven't
monitoring
adopted.
calendar?
Yeah, the monitoring calendar. We haven't adopted that yet, right?
That's going to take full effect coming in January.
Okay, so y'all bring it to us for
Yes,
review
sir.
and approval? Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir,
you,
we
sir.
will.
Any other comments? Dr. Rivera, any other comments?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
Thank you, Abel.
We'll continue with number 10, Lone Star Governance Discussion and Possible Action. Discussion and possible action for the Board of Trustees to consider approval of the Lone Star Governance Superintendent Constraint Progress Measures that Mr. Aguilar just presented.
There's a motion to approve.
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Castillo and a second by Coach Cuellar to approve the Lone Star Governance Superintendent Constraint Progress Measures. Do I have any discussion?
I just have one comment, sir. On the constraint number 2, we could do lower than that 20%. That'd be great. I don't want to change it because these are your constraints, but just if we could do better than that, that would be awesome.
We'll take a look at it.
Yes. Okay. Any other comments? Let's take it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against?
Oh, we're not going one by one?
No, we just, the reason,
I was waiting.
the reason that, actually, when I was board president, they went one by one, it was because we were online.
Okay.
So now we're back to regular, so now we're all here, so we can go as a full, okay? I should have said that before.
I in favor, sorry.
Okay. Motion passes. All right, number 11, Lone Star Governance Consent Item. Approval to amend the action taken by the Board of Trustees on November 16, 2023, on the approval of the 2023-2028 Goal and Progress Measures 3.1, 3.2, 4.1, and 4.2. Dr. Rivera.
Yes, you have the information, Mr. Aguilar? Anything you want to add to it on the consent item?
What are we amending?
No, just on that one, just on the consent on there, the only reason for this change here is, initially we only had STAR exam as the only measure, and that is a summative measure. So what was added here, just to make the adjustment, were the STAR benchmarks. It gives us more of that progress to measure that growth. And that's the only change there.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Castillo and a second by Dr. Jaime to approve the action taken by the Board of Trustees on November 16, 2023. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All against? Motion passes. All right. Now we'll go to item number 12, consent items. Take a minute, 2 minutes to look at it. I believe you have already looked at it at home, but I'll still give you a few minutes.
If nobody has anybody to pull out, I'll make a motion to approve just with one comment, Doc, on 12E, 1 maybe, on the TIA, the money. 12E1, yes. Just that any amount of money that we could invest into the teacher incentive allotment, that's great. I mean, any way where we could kind of provide an opportunity for our teachers to get paid more based on their merit,
Okay.
we should look at all avenues of funding that. So I make a motion to approve the entire consent pending nobody else having an item to remove.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Castillo, a second by Dr. Jaime to approve the consent items, and followed through by Dr. Rivera on one of the items. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passes. All right, let's continue on. Let's go to item 13, discussion items. Update on trainings, conferences, events, and consider future agenda item requested by Board of Trustees. We have 13A, Level 3 grievance, and number 2, workshop to interview architects and engineers. Dr. Rivera.
Yes, I just need some input from the board as to when you want to hear the level 3. You have the information before you on the one on level 3, and then a workshop to interview the architects and engineers. Just maybe let me know later through a...
Do you want to send us a couple of dates so that way we
Yes.
can look at our schedule and then have the workshops and have the level 3 grievance?
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't have to be on the same dates, but preferably, it depends on all the board members.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay?
Look at that grievance and any other pending grievances that we may have, Doctor?
Yes, level 3, yes.
So we can take care of them all.
Yes,
So no action on that one, correct?
right, no.
Okay, you'll give us the information?
Yes.
All right, let's continue. 13B, Human Resource Department. Discussion to rename the Weslaco High School Athletic Complex to Chip Basket Athletic Complex. Dr. Rivera?
Yes, Mr. Vasquez is here. You have the information, and let me just read what you have on the backup. The guidelines that you have, and the board approved these many years ago, is we're going to recommend approval, but the guidelines state that we need at least, before we bring it back for final approval, a timeline of less than 3 months. That's the policy, the guidelines that were established. So before the name is official, we have to wait around that time and then bring it back to the board. It's based on the guidelines that the board approved many years ago. So these are the guidelines that we have on naming a school or campus or facility after an individual.
So right now, we won't have a motion, we just have to wait.
Yes.
On that. Any particular questions or comments, Mr. Trevino?
No, not at all.
Mr. Castillo?
Just a comment, just for clarification, and the information that we have, it says the superintendent, because Mr. Vasquez is here, the superintendent recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the renaming of the Weslaco High School Athletic Complex to Chip Vasquez Athletic Complex. Rationale, Chip Vasquez was admired by both young and old for his leadership qualities as a role model. His love of community was displayed by his volunteering for church and other civic activities. He so loved the game of football and was the epitome of true Panther brotherhood. Guidelines for naming facilities were established by the Board of Trustees and improved in May of 2004. According to the guidelines, a timetable of not less than 3 months shall be established before any school or major facility is renamed. So I'm assuming that's what we're starting today, sir?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Coach Graf? Any comments?
I have none.
Dr. Jaime?
No, I have none. Thank you.
All right, so we'll continue the process.
Maybe in the future.
Right.
Again, the board can look at the guidelines because they were adopted in 2004.
Correct.
It's almost 20 years ago. So you may want to meet again in a workshop and maybe change some of the guidelines. as
See what
to-
the purpose of the delay is.
Yes.
Right.
I don't- yeah.
Okay. So that's an agenda item that will come later on.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, let's continue on to item 14. Discussion and possible action. 14A, well, I would like to recommend, because these are 9 items, or did I forget one?
13B2. 14A?
Oh, B2.
To change, yeah.
First reading of Board Update 122 local. Thank you, Mr. Castillo.
Yeah, it's the first reading.
That's
You have
just-
the information. Ms. Rodriguez is here. You have any information for her?
What are we changing?
We'll bring
on-
it up again next month.
What are we changing on DC, employment
Ms.
practices?
Rodriguez?
Is that legal or local?
Those are the FAFSA recommendations for all updates to local policies.
Well, specifically in DC? Because that's the one that that authorizes the superintendent to make employment decisions. So I'm just wondering if we're changing anything. Or I could look it up real quick. It's right here.
It's, all the changes are attached to the backup.
Well, there's no changes. Okay.
Okay?
No action.
There's no action. Okay.
Bring it back next month.
Thank you. All right, item 14, discussion possible action items. 14A, discussion possible action for the Board of Trustees to consider approval to change the date of the regular board meeting scheduled on January the 16th, 2024. Dr. Rivera.
Yeah, we need more time in January to have the workshops on the architects and the engineers. So it's a week later. We're scheduled to meet on the 16th. We want to go ahead and meet a week later on the 23rd to give us more time for the board again to interview the architects and the engineers and just more time after Christmas.
Okay. Do I have
I'll
a
move to
motion?
approve.
We have a motion by Dr. Jaime. Do I have a second?
Second.
Coach Cuellar. So we have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Coach Cuellar to change the regular board meeting to January 23rd, 2024, correct?
Yes.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All against? Motion passes. 14B, Maintenance and Operations Department. On this one, we have several, actually, we have, what, 10 items, Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
I would like to combine all the items, and I'll read each one after we approve them. I would like to, the superintendent recommended competitive seal bid proposals, correct?
Yes.
And for the board to rank the proposals and to utilize the criteria brought forward by administration. But it's up to the board members what you want to do. It's all the same, even though there's 10 items. So you give me a,
I'll make a motion to approve all of those items based on the recommendation from the administration. Just, Doc, if one of your teams could just kind of give a quick update on all those items so the community knows what projects we're going to start.
Yes, Mr. Miracle?
I'm going to name them actually after we make the motion.
Okay. I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Mr. Castillo and a second by Dr. Jaime to approve all the items. And any other questions?
But we're not giving the authority away. We're going to be doing the ranking.
Correct.
We're gonna be-
Yes, that's my motion, sir.
That's correct. All right?
You're going to interview?
And let me read each one of them before we actually vote. Roofing and Kleckler held
Be a lot.
A. Antonio Rico, B. Garza Middle School. I'm not going to read everything.
okay.
Number 2, restroom improvement at Dr. Margo Elementary and Beatriz Garza Middle School. Number 3, HVAC at Cuellar Middle School and Weslaco High School and B. Garza. Number 4, running tracks for all 4 middle schools. Number 5, vestibules for Weslaco East and B. Garza. Number 6, fire alarms at East High School and Mario Ibarra. Number 7, building envelope improvements at Domingo Sepulveda Gym. Number 8, lighting upgrades for the Susan Peterson Center. Number 9, tennis courts at WHS. Number 10, football turf at East High School. So those are all the projects that we're going to go forward. So I have a motion by Mr. Castillo, second by Dr. Jaime. Any other questions before we take it to a vote?
So just so the community knows, this action, if approved by the board, we will be authorizing the administration to go out to solicit bids using the competitive seal proposal method.
Correct.
Yes.
And we are approving, well, so you guys are going to be soliciting bids for contractors? That's the action?
COP proposal.
The competitive seal bids are open in front of who, Doctor? Will you be a part of that or in front? Who is that open in front of?
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Rivera. Yeah, so we received those sealed.
All at
and they
once?
don't get open until the time that's indicated on the proposal package.
Okay.
So.
And the
again,
contractors are invited, or all the
correct.
bidders
It's
are
public.
invited?
It's
Yeah.
public, it's an open, it's no.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's a very transparent process, so the public can see that we're utilizing the taxpayer money in an efficient and transparent way.
And we'll have to figure it out, but all the proposals have been moved. They used to be received at the business office, now they're being received at the superintendent's office.
So, but you won't actually go out for the solicitations until the architects are selected, right?
Correct.
Okay, so this won't start till February, probably.
Well, until the architects
Yeah.
selected and
Or
then
maybe March.
they complete the design
Yeah.
of the project. right?
Okay, okay.
And all these projects are very important, right?
Correct.
And of course, the most important ones are listed here. There's going to be other projects that we're going to work on, but these are probably the most important ones right now.
Yes.
And just, if I may mention for the public, these are bond projects. We're starting with the first phase of the bond project.
Correct. Any other comments?
The only other thing is, do we want to do the ranking, or do we want to let the people who know more about what's going on do the rankings?
The $160 million is on us, so I don't want to give that over. I want to be, if we're going to be held accountable 10 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever, I think we need to do the ranking. We need to do the just because, I mean, I know you guys, why, there's only one person here that has construction background. I don't know if anybody else, I don't want to undermine anybody, but I know you have construction background. I think there's 2 or 3 board members that have construction backgrounds as well. So I would like for us to do the ranking, especially because we are the last ones on that, being responsible or being accountable for the $160 million.
And the motion is for the board to rank them. You know, so that's the motion by Mr. Castillo, and second by Dr. Jaime.
I mean, with with guidance from the administration, obviously, right? Because you guys are gonna
absolutely.
You guys are gonna.
And we'll provide information
yes,
to the board.
Oh, yes, we're not gonna sit back and just
No, and then
let it run. We're gonna get involved too.
yes, sir, of course. Another thought too is maybe it might be a good idea to run this through our board. I don't know what you're calling it, the bond committee.
Yes.
And maybe just kind of run those maybe prior to coming to the board with them as well, and kind of get their, I mean, the final decision will be with us, right? But we will have a check with the community committee as well.
And I believe Dr. Rivera has a meeting with the bond committee in January.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so.
The board committee.
Yes.
The board bond committee.
Correct. That each board member provided.
Each one pick 2.
Two members.
And there's very knowledgeable people on that committee as well.
And we don't have Mr. Los Santos here because he knows a lot of construction too, but he'll be involved too. All right, so let's take it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passes. Thank you for approving all of them together. Let's continue with 14B. Discussion and possible action for the Board of Trustees to approve the selection of architectural firms for Wesco Independent School District projects RFQ 240118. Dr. Rivera.
Mr. Marco, you want to go over the list?
Yes, sir. So we put out an RFQ for services, architectural services and engineering. Well, we'll talk about the first one. The next one is going to be the engineering. And so we received 14 statements from the several architectural firms, and we're asking the board to approve all of them at this time. And so the plan is for the board then to interview in January and to assign projects to the architectural firms.
But I believe we're going to have a workshop before we do that, correct?
Yes.
That is the plan, yes.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Castillo? No, by Dr. Jaime. Second by Mr. Castillo to select the architects. Any other discussion?
Again, just for the public to know that we're selecting all the ones who submitted so we could have a panel and have the most range of selection when it comes to these projects.
Correct. Yes.
Any questions, Mr. Trevino, on this one?
I'm gonna abstain from this. I don't want to select anybody until I hear them out, until I see a presentation.
Correct. But this is just to select all of them, but then we're going to have a workshop to select the ones that for the different projects. This was just to select all the ones that submitted their proposal.
Yeah, they're not assigned a project.
They're not assigned
just on our
projects.
panel.
That's it.
Yeah,
Just for your information. Okay. Coach Cuellar, any comments?
No.
Dr. Jaime?
No, sir.
All in favor for approving the selection of our architectural firms, please say aye.
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. 14B, discussion of possible action for the Board of Trustees to approve the selection of engineering firms for the district projects RFQ 240119. Dr. Rivera.
Mr. Merrick, again.
Yes, so it's the same as the previous item. We put out an RFQ, request for qualifications, for the qualification statements from engineering firms, and we received 19, and we're asking the board to approve all 19. And then at a later time, we'll have a workshop and the board interviews, and they can assign projects.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Castillo and second by Dr. Jaime to approve the selection of engineering firms for district projects. Any discussion, Mr. Trevino?
No, just, is this customary to do it this way? Is this to do it this way, to select them all
That's up to you guys.
before we?
Normally, we do that, but we haven't selected any for projects. It's just all the ones that submitted proposals. So instead of saying, we're going to select only
Because
five.
here's the thing I'm running into. For example, I don't know if they're on there or not, like the guys that built the manhole over at Weslaco East. You know, I wouldn't want them to be on the panel or be even considered to be selected there when I know for a fact that that place is still leaking. So why are we even going to throw them on the panel if that's the quality of work that those people do? And those are some of the questions that I'm going to want to know once we have that workshop. I'd like for those guys to be omitted. I don't even know why they would be considered, why we would even accept their RFQ or anything if we know for a fact that they did not fulfill the completion of that building to our satisfaction.
And Mr. Trevino, to your question, the board's still going to have an option. Even if...
No, I understand that part. I know at the end, we're still going to have a workshop, we're still going to have an option. I don't even know why, and I don't know, Americo, if they're, I know we receive those packets, if they are on there, and that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask when we have that workshop, is if they're on there, why even consider them if we know what kind of work they do?
But we're not selecting the contractor.
No, I know, but why even accept the RFQ, I guess is what I'm saying.
This is for architects, not the contractors.
Right. The agenda
But I think it's all together because the architect or the contractors and then they subcontract jobs out. Anybody tied with that building over there that had something to do with that building, I think we need to we need to not use them.
Who was on that project?
The architect was ERO Architects on the project.
On the manhole?
I'm sorry?
On the manhole?
Yes.
Who was the
For
architect?
East High School. ERO Architects.
And you know what, Mr. Terry, those are good points, but I believe what the proposal they submitted, everybody has an opportunity to submit those. But then as the board members later on, when if we say we're going to have the workshop and there's 14 and 19, and we don't want to interview all 14, we can say, if there's some that have not done well with us, we say, okay, these three, we're not going to interview. We'll just go with, this is just select all of them. But then at that point, after the workshop or before the workshop, we can say, these particular ones, we're not going to listen. We're not going to hear the presentation.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Americo, did ERO select the contractor?
No, we do the CSP, which is what you just approved for the projects.
So ERO didn't have anything to do with
Right, the
selecting the
contractor
contractor?
is selected via the CSP method, and then the ranking takes place, and that's how they're presented to the board.
Now, anytime that anything is being done, any kind of construction project, before anything's ever accepted, you have a group of people that go through a punch list.
That is correct, yes.
And they've been there through the whole thing, the whole process, step by step, and usually can identify where there have been problems, because before anything is finished, you pick up on leaks and things when it's raining and so forth. So if we know that there's a problem and you bring it to their attention, until they fix that problem, they don't get paid, right?
That is correct, sir. So our policy is that we don't close out the project and provide final payment until we're satisfied with the project.
Mr. Trevino bringing up the thing about a facility that, as far as I know, to this day still leaks, or has that been
I believe it.
taken care of?
Dr. Gamboa?
A little bit of issues here and there.
Yes, it still leaks. So, and I know we paid them out.
We've
So
had-
that's where it causes me to just, I want to make sure we go do a very thorough presentation with these guys.
And those are good points. Can we, on those buildings that we still have leaking buildings, can we have the context of who was on those projects? during this process, the selection process? Because like for me, I don't know. I wasn't here when we did the band hall. I don't know who the architect is. I don't know who the contractor is or whatnot, but I think it would be good to have that info so we're not just in a vacuum, right? And we have all the information that we need to make these selections.
And we do. So part of the process is for us to request the list of subcontractors that the contractor.
No, not the subs, but like for example, just history with the district when we're talking about the selection of architects. Oh, these guys were on the band hall, for example. Like I would like to know that.
We do have.
Just so we could have that in context as well when we're going to make our decision too.
We do have. And just to answer your question and to the point of the continuation of the problems there at the band hall. So what we've done is we hold the project and we don't close it until we're satisfied with the work. And so we keep checking with the staff. But
I'm sure by now, Medical, I don't want to interrupt you, but by now, I'm sure they've been paid out.
Yeah, we have. And
Yes.
again,
So
and
that's what I'm getting at. I know last year they had a terrible flooding in there, damaged a lot of equipment and so forth, and here we paid them out.
and we asked the contractor to provide repairs, and they did. And so what we do as part of the process, we check with the building occupants, in this case, the director, the band director, and we do have communication where, there's times there's rains where there was no leaks, and then there's rains where the leaks came back, so we get the contractor back and forth until we're satisfied. At that point, we just have to make a call and say,
I
there's
think
no
there's
more leaks
videos
this
out there
rain.
where I wish it was just a little drip, but it's actually gushing and actually covering the whole flooring and things like that. So that's where I need us as a group to be very thorough with the selection of these contractors, with the selection of all the anybody that we're selecting. We need to make sure, because I spent 7 years at the athletic complex that was built, and there was deficiencies there that I noticed myself that should have been picked up. And,
And we did have that situation through the project, which we asked the contractor to correct. Recently, I haven't heard of any of that situation where you mentioned that the water was rushing in. And so
they're using cinder block, so they're making extra holes, and then they just leave and put a cover plate there or something. Well, they shouldn't be making extra holes like that. If you're using, everything's wired, all the electricity and all that's pre-wired or wired through the cinder block and stuff. But it's already designed, and sometimes the light switch is behind the opposite side of the door swings the wrong way. It's basic stuff, and it shouldn't be so. I know a lot of your tile work was poorly installed there. So I mean, there's deficiencies there that we checked, that you guys checked off on, that it wasn't, and we're paying millions of dollars, and we're not getting the product.
And again, I think, Mr. Trevino, good points there. But in the future, when we are going to select the architects or whoever, then we can say, not this particular ones because they didn't do a good job. I understand. I mean, we can do that as board members.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just if you could give us all that information, past history with the district projects and whatnot,
right?
Before we make a final decision on all these projects, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's like when we ask you, Medical, if we were going to approve an architect or an engineer and say, well, have they worked with the district? How did they do before? And if you say they didn't do well, we're not going to approve that particular person.
We'll provide all that information.
And usually you have a reference list where they've done work before that we can follow up and ask them, what kind of work did they do for you?
That is correct.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the engineering firms. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passes. Let's go to item 14B, 13. Discussion and possible action for the Board of Trustees to consider approval of a specific easement requested by the City of Weslaco at the Joe Calvillo Kate Complex. Dr. Rivera.
Mr. Merrick, you want to continue?
Yes, so this is an easement that's being requested by the City of Weslaco on the southeast corner of the property at the Joe Calvillo Kate Complex. And so what it is, we have a detention canal there that wraps around Silva and Gonzalez as well. And so they're trying to get that connected over to the street, which is Border, and then eventually to the outfall waterways to make sure that they drain all that area properly, which is going to benefit us and benefit the subdivision to the south of the property.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Castillo, second by Dr. Jaime, to approve the specific easement requested by the city. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All against? Motion carries. 14B, 14, discussion and possible action for the Board of Trustees to consider approval of 2 change orders to the playground equipment repairs and replacement project for all elementaries as follows. Number 1, ratification of a change order number 1 for Clicker Hill Elementary for additional playground equipment repairs. Number 2, approval of change order number 2 for Airport Elementary, Justice Raul Gonzalez Elementary, North Bridge Elementary, A. Antonio Rico, Rudy Silva Elementary for additional playground equipment repairs. Dr. Rivera.
Mr. Miracle?
Yes, sir. So we do have a couple change orders. The first one, we started off with Kleckler. This is a project where we have a contractor that's repairing all the playground equipment at all elementaries. And so they found and identified additional damages to the playground equipment at Kleckler, which is one of the first campuses that was identified. And so we said, go ahead and proceed. We need to open the playground, and we'll come back to the board to ratify this change order. And so the funds that are being used here are Title IV funds and ESSER funds. We're not using any local funds for these projects. It was at the point when they started identifying additional problems outside of the scope of the project for other campuses that I told them that we had to stop and that give us an assessment, which is that second change order that we're asking for approval. The only one that has been implemented is the one for Kleckler.
There's $10,000, which
correct.
Minimal amount. Motion to approve.
Correct.
We have a motion by Mr. Castillo. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Dr. Jaime. Okay, comments, Mr. Trevino?
I'm looking right now at Clicker Hill. What is one of those, I guess the new issue is a replacement of the entire spiral slide?
Correct.
Now, here's where I have a problem with these change orders. I think anybody that did the walkthrough or whatever, whenever they submitted the bid, the proposal, they should have noticed that it needed a new slide. Why wouldn't they add it at that time?
So it's over the course, again, the walkthrough took place early on in the year, and with the heat of the summer that we had, which is unprecedented, that's where a lot of the other additional items we saw on the plastic components of the playground equipment. There may have been some other ones that may have been overlooked, which is mainly the ones where the corroded metals are identified, the pipes and so forth. But the plastic primarily is because of that.
And that's where I'd be okay if it was the metals, if it was the piping getting rusted. But we're replacing a complete slide.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah, they do have holes in them, and they are a hazard to the kids. We really have to shut them down, make sure that they don't slide down those
I guess
slides.
that's my concern, Amico, is we have contractors providing a bid. Hey, we're going to do this job for this amount. Okay, you got the lowest bid or whatever. We're going to give it to you. But for some reason or another, 8 months down the road, hey, we got a change order. Hey, we got another change order. We got another change order. And now we're no longer taking the lowest bid. Now it's gone up. Maybe some of the guys that got passed up quoted some of these things or had included a new slide or something, and they're getting passed up because of these change orders. So are we really giving the jobs to the best contractor out there, or are we taking the lowest bid? That's just a concern of mine. That's why I'm voicing this out.
And in this case, Mr. Trevino, there's not a lot of competition because these are sole source providers of services for these equipment. We did have, when we got the bids, other contractors who showed up and they said, if you're not installing new equipment, I'm not going to bid because only the installer or the manufacturer of this equipment can work on this equipment. They're the authorized representative to service this brand of equipment. So whenever you do have equipment that you're installing brand new, then call me and I'll bid. And so in this case, unfortunately, they're sole source provider of these services. So we're at the mercy of their services.
Did we only have one I mean, I know it was years. Did we only have one person bid it? Do you understand what I'm getting at?
In this case, there was only one because, again, there was 2 other ones that showed up, and they said, I'm not going to bid it because I can't service this equipment. I can't order
So we're at their mercy, really.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So we do have another project that's coming up. We're trying to get done under ESSER, and that's brand-new equipment, and I'm expecting more bids in that one.
Okay.
Good points, Mr. Trevino. We have a motion on the floor. Any other comments? All right. Let's take, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passes. Item 15, closed meeting to discuss the following: personal matters. 15A, discussion regarding superintendent recommendations on certified professional and non-contractual personnel. 15A2, discussion regarding superintendent's recommendation on resignations, retirements of certified personnel and non-contractual personnel. 15A3, deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. 15A4, discussion regarding superintendent's recommendation for the position of principal at PFC Mario Varela Elementary School. 15B, consulting with attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation, settlement offer, a matter in which the duty of the attorney of the Weslaco Independent School District under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the Star Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, 551.071. We will now go into executive session. 8:15, and we reconvene in open meeting. Possible action necessary on items discussed in closed meeting. 16A, discussion of possible action regarding superintendent's recommendation on the employment of certified personnel and non-contractual personnel. Dr. Rivera?
You have the list. I'm recommending approval.
Move to approve?
Second.
We have a motion by Coach Cuet, a second by Mr. Castillo. Any comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passes. 16A2, discussion of possible action regarding superintendent's recommendations on resignations, retirements of certified personnel and non-contractual personnel. Dr. Rivera?
You have the list. Recommending approval.
Move to approve?
Second?
We have a motion by Dr. Jaime, a second by Coach Cuellar to approve. Any comments, questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 16A3, discussion possible action regarding superintendent's recommendation on the position of principal for PFC Mario Ibarra Elementary School. Dr. Rivera.
Very many good candidates, but I'm recommending the assistant principal there, Ms. Klossner.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Motion by Mr. Castillo, second by Coach Cuellar. Any comments or questions?
Are those the two right there?
No.
Oh, okay. Because they were not even.
Motion to
Ms.
approve?
Hernandez is the principal that's leaving.
Right.
Okay, well, that's who I wanted to congratulate.
In a minute.
Yeah.
Motion to approve?
Aye.
All right. As we exit, and of course, Ms. Kloster is not here today, but Mrs. Hernandez is here today, so I want to take the time to commend her on her many years of service to Weslaco ISD, especially as a principal at Ibarra Elementary. How many years over there? 8? 9. Okay, 9 years. And I know today is her last board meeting, and then Friday, of course, is her last day. Maybe in the future, Dr. Rivera, anytime a principal is going to retire or central office, we can commend them here at the board meeting. So enjoy your retirement, and you'll enjoy it. I guarantee you.
Hey, you could continue to come to board meetings if you want.
Any more?
YouTube.
Any more comments? Dr. Jaime, any comments?
No, thank you. Thank you, Linda. Thank you for all your service. Thank you for all your
Coach
service.
Cuellar.
No, again, I acknowledge the service you provide for school district, so thank you very much for that.
Mr. Castillo.
Just congratulations and thank you for everything you've done for the district. My parents were principals, my mom was a principal, so I know it's a hard job waking up at 5:30 in the morning and leaving at 7 at night. So just thank you for your years of service and enjoy retirement.
I've loved every minute of it, the good, the bad, everything. It's been the most rewarding job ever, and I'm excited and sad at the same time.
Mr. Treviño.
No, just congratulations to you. Enjoy it, and I'm sure try to find something to stay busy. Yes.
All right. Good meeting. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.